Hello, my friend. Welcome to another episode on the Dad's Making a Difference podcast. Today's guest is Bob Wischer. He is the relationship engineer. As the founder of Men Becoming Better Men Coaching and hosted the Men Becoming Better Men podcast, Bob empowers men to build lives full of joy, meaning, and connection. After a painful divorce nearly shattered his relationship with his children, Bob committed to systematically re engineering his mindset and his life. And what he discovered changed everything. Now, Bob, happily remarried and a father of four, is on a journey from despair to fulfillment and is a testament to the power of self reflection, accountability, and personal responsibility. He's on a mission to help men rediscover their purpose, strengthen their relationships, and live authentically. And today we get to have a conversation on how you can do the exact same thing. Bob is going to give you 3 steps that you can use to live with purpose, authenticity, and to strengthen your relationships. This conversation with Bob Wischer on the Dad's Making a Difference podcast starts right now. Bob, welcome to the Dad's Making a Difference podcast. Great to see you.
Hey, Cam. Good to see you again, man.
Yeah. And you say see you again. And for those who are
Yep.
listening to this, I had the privilege of being on your podcast recently. So I thank you
Yep.
for that. And I
Yeah.
always like to shift the roles a little bit. And so we can play different parts of the conversation. And even though this just is a conversation about fatherhood, I love being able to ask you some questions. So
Yeah.
excited that you're here to talk about your experiences as a husband, as a father, of course, the difference that you're aiming to make in the lives of men, because this is Dad's Making a Difference.
Yeah.
And yeah, just to learn more about you and then how we're going to impact guys as they walk away from this. So yeah, Bob, thanks for being here. I think where I want to start, and it's going to piggyback off of a conversation that we've had previously. So there's a teaser. If you're listening to this and you haven't listened to Bob's podcast, you can go back and catch that episode. But for you, what's been the most unexpected lesson that fatherhood has taught you?
Hmm. Unexpected lesson. Actually, I just mentioned this one in the last interview I did. Kids listen to everything. You may not think they are, but they are. The comment, I was just talking to somebody, he was talking about his 5-year-old daughter, and it's like, I don't think she ever listens to me. And I said, yeah, oh, she absolutely listens to you. My kids, and it's funny that whether they, somewhere in that 3 to 5 when they're really, they're cognizant of what's going on, 3, 5, 7 age range, right? And you think they're not listening because they're doing their thing, they're having fun, they're being kids, right? But then they get to 12, 13, 14, up into high school, and then they'll say something that, where'd you learn that?
Yeah.
And you think about it a minute. Well, I taught you that when you were like 5. How did I, how did you're paying attention?
Yeah.
And yeah, that was kind of an amazing. I remember it happened a few times with each of my kids, where it was just like you stop in your tracks and you go, "Wow, you were listening?
Yeah.
That's
It's
pretty
like,
awesome."
that sounded a lot like somebody else that I know, you know?
Yeah, right.
You just said when the kids are like 3 to 5, and it reminded me of a time when I was driving my daughter Maya to an activity, and she was like, yeah, in that 3 to 4-ish range. We were heading off to a birthday party or something like that, and we were running a little
Mm.
bit behind, and it was just me, and she was in the back seat, and we came to like a red light or a yellow light, and it was slowing down, and then the light goes red, and I'm like, ah. And I kind of let the sigh out. And then it goes green, and the person in front of me like delays. Now I didn't hit the horn or anything, but I had like this other sigh. And all she said, as this like 3-year-old in the back, was like, sounds like someone needs more patience. and and it was this eye-opening moment for me. It's like, oh, she's
Like,
picking up on
ooh,
every little thing that
yeah,
I'm doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They do. They're little sponges.
Yeah. And now your kids are a bit older. Like, what are you learning now as your kids have gone kind of through those stages? Now they're a bit older and you're entering into like this new season as a father. What does that look like for you?
Trusting that I did everything I could possibly do to set them up for success in their lives.
Mm.
Um, and fortunately that they proved to me every day that they deserve that trust. Um, both of my kids are in medical school actually, and my son's a little crazy. He's actually pursuing a double doctor,
Wow.
PhD and a doctor of osteopathic. So not really a medical doctor. And it amazes me every day that they're going and doing what they're doing. And, actually, my wife and I were talking about the other day. So, having that trust to know that they're okay and that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and they're not, getting into trouble or other things that, there's so many things that 20 something kids can do nowadays, that just having that trust that they're going to be okay and you're going to stay safe in situations, um, things like that. It's just I have utmost faith in both of them that they're going to do the right thing.
Yeah. What did that look like? So, what does building trust look like for dads who are listening to this, who have kids at all age ranges? And they're like, yeah, I need to build more trust with my kids so I can make a difference in their lives without announcing, hey, I'm building trust with you. I'm going to make a difference in your life.
Yeah,
What,
right.
what did building trust look like as you raise your kids?
Listening, listening a lot, understanding who they are, what makes them tick, giving them that. And I think one of the other things too, for me anyway, I can't speak for their mother, but I always trusted them to do, when they had homework, I trusted them to do what they needed to do. She was the one that was always kind of hovering,
Yeah.
helicopter parent and making sure they had to do what they. But I just felt like if they know what they needed to do. It's like, hey, you need some help with that? No, I got it. I'm
Yeah.
okay. If you need help, let me know. And so I was kind of the hands off dad, and she was the helicopter mom. And yeah, for some way it worked out. Even though our marriage didn't end up working out,
Mm.
the kids turned out great.
Yeah. So, do you mind going there for a moment? We talk about fatherhood quite a bit, but being a husband, we learn a lot through those experiences, right? And you
Hmm.
just mentioned that, it worked out as of being a father and things worked out in the end, but that initially your initial marriage didn't work out. So what did it look like for
Yeah.
you? What was that experience like? And how did you still focus on being a father while going through that?
Uh, for a long time, I'll use the word oblivious.
Hmm.
Um, I was very dedicated, first, I don't know, 10, 15 years. It was like I wouldn't even think that I was gonna end up leaving the marriage. Um, I just kind of thought it was what we have to do, right? We made a commitment, we made a contract, literally, to be with this person till death do us part. And so really, it was for the first, I'd say 15 years. It was pretty much just oblivious. And then, um, as the kids got older, I started, spending a lot more time reflecting on myself and my life and what was going on for me, and how things, they weren't really the vision I had. And I started looking forward to, like, okay, the kids are getting close to going off to school. And now I'm going to be sitting here with her, and we really don't have things in common. We don't communicate well. There's a lot of things that were going on in the context of our relationship um, that just got my head spinning and got me thinking, and one thing led to another, and it just it was the decision I made at that time to go off and be by myself. And honestly, as much as it it hates me to have that quote unquote failure in my life. And I say quote unquote because obviously a failure is a learning experience. If I hadn't done that and I had stayed there and stayed in that mind space that I was in, I'm trying to not be negative.
Yeah.
In that mind space that I was in, I don't know where I'd be, and I know I wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
I I was a shell of the person that I was supposed to become, and
Hmm.
I really didn't get the freedom to do that until I left that marriage.
Wow. So that experience, combined with being a father and making decisions like I'm gonna step away from this relationship, but still want to be the dad that I want to be for my kids. How did that experience change your perspective on life and priorities? You said it was a learning experience. So,
Mhm.
what did you learn about perspective, like what you're prioritizing and where you wanted to go after that?
The main thing was, to have a relationship that was mutually supportive, mutually fulfilling, because that's what I missed I was married almost 19, well, it was 19, almost 20 years.
Mhm.
First time in it, there were years that were not, we were definitely not on the same page in a lot of ways. And that was the key as I left that and met my wife now, mutually fulfilling on every level, career wise, hobbies wise, men's group, hey, honey, I'm going to go off and create this men's group.
Yeah.
Sure, no problem. Go do your thing. Go help men become better men. That's the name of the group. She supported that. She supported, bedroom things, all supported everywhere, which is what I had that complete opposite. In my first marriage, I played a lot of beer league softball, and that was my jam. That was my release, my fun. And it would always I'd come home, I'd slide into third base or something and have a torn up leg right from the gravel. And she was like, "Why are you coming in my house and do that?" And just giving me a hard time for doing what I love. And it was tearing me apart inside. And so the lesson was, and I tell unmarried men this a lot when they're in that dating pool, and don't settle for the first girl that pays attention to you. Don't settle for the first one that shows interest in whatever. Make sure that those boxes are checked, that she's going to support you and she's going to be there for you and understands what makes you tick. Because the minute I was not able to do what made me tick in that
Mm.
first marriage is probably that, like you said earlier, that when did it go bad, right? That was that moment, whatever that was, that all of a sudden made me go, wait a minute, I'm not being who I'm supposed to be.
Wow. Yeah.
And after 10 or 15 years, that's a pretty scary proposition, and say, wait a minute, I just lost 10, 15 years of my life. And now I've got a lot of ground to make up and a lot of things to do to catch up to where I'm supposed to be.
So you're in that moment. You talk a lot about re-engineering your life,
Hmm.
like re-engineering your lifestyle, transforming your mindset on where you want to go. So in that period of time, what did you learn? What key takeaways did you have that now with the men that you are connected with the men becoming better men, that you pass along to them? So if there's a guy listening to this right now who's like, oh, wow, yeah, Bob went through this. I feel like I'm going through that right now. What is something that you did, maybe a step that you took that helped you start to re-engineer your lifestyle and transform your mindset?
It's actually a list of words on a piece of paper that I have hanging here above my computer. They're what do we call her? Men becoming better men standards. Having the gentleman that brought those and introduced them into my life was was the turning point. Things like be impeccable with your word. Your well-being is your own responsibility. Don't make things up, which I had known before, but I never clicked like it did when we put these all on paper. But those are the types of things that as men we know we're supposed to do.
Hmm.
We know we're supposed to keep our word, right? Our word is everything. But when you learn that growing up or as a young man, whatever, you're thinking, I'm not going to lie to you, Cam. If I tell you, I'm going to do something for you, I do it. Right? I'm going to give my word to you. I'm going to keep it. But what we don't learn is that it also counts for ourselves. That
Hmm.
when we give our word to ourselves, I'm gonna eat right. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna work hard. All those promises we make to ourselves that we continually break over and over and over and over again, which gives our subconscious permission that, oh, Bob made a commitment. Oh, well, since he broke these other 15 commitments, he doesn't really want to keep that one. So why should he keep it?
Yeah.
So having those standards and those rules and guidance that they bring, the boundaries that you can establish with them, that was definitely the key. And that's one of the things. It's kind of like the backbone of the work I do, both in group and in one-on-one work, to make sure that guys understand what those standards are
Yeah.
and do their best to learn them and live them, because they definitely, when you do live them, they make your life exponentially better.
Amazing. How do you think fatherhood influenced your standards and maybe your approach to your own personal growth and self-improvement? So as you name those standards, was fatherhood a lens that you used in that? Or is that more
Mm,
individual based and
yeah,
then you use that as a filter when you go into the other areas of your life?
yeah. It was definitely an individual based thing. It was a foundational
Mm,
piece for me as a man
yeah,
to learn those and live them and embrace them and then now I can apply them to my kids. I know where
yeah,
or even in some cases coworkers, right?
yeah,
Like, don't make anything up, as one of them would say. Don't, if you use the words I think, I feel, or I believe, that means you're not speaking with facts. So if you're looking at your kid and yeah, Dad, I think I took the trash out. Well, do you think you took the trash out, or did you actually take the trash out?
yeah,
Um, you can use that a lot with, I use it a lot with coworkers too.
yeah,
When somebody comes to me and says, yeah, I think such and so, I'm like, well, if you think, that means you don't know. So why don't you go check? And then you get back to me and let me know what the real answer is because I want to trust you,
yeah,
but I don't want to trust you because I've been burnt by listening to people say that I think this is going to happen or this is true and it ends up not being true.
yeah. They speak with that fact, the intentionality of you know
Yeah.
what you know and ask questions when you don't.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think as men who are on a mission to grow individually and with the community around us, you mentioned your coworkers, speaking with truth and not making stuff up. I like that. I think that's
Yeah.
important. I think it's easy to maybe embellish what we know, not in a way to impress, but into a way to
Yeah.
protect ourselves and
Yeah.
what the situation we're in and what we might be saying. So I
Yeah,
appreciate
and protecting the person too. It
right.
really because if they give me bad information, I give it to somebody else, and somebody figures it out. Now I look bad, and the person that gave it to me look bad. So it's a mutual protection situation, and hopefully it's a personal growth for them, right? Because
Yeah.
if they don't know it, and they should know it. I mean, I work with a lot of engineers, so
Yeah.
they're trained to do the math, right, and figure it out and come with facts. And when you don't come with facts in a situation, and that's a learning experience that you're going to get burnt. Being in the automotive industry for over 30 years, mistakes cost money.
I love that everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own experience, and we can share that just to share it as a story, or we can use that to impact others. We can use that in a positive way to make a shift in our own delivery of that story to impact others to make a difference in other people's lives. So, what was the turning point for you where you were like, okay, I've gone through this. I need to share my story and create something for men so that this has purpose to it? When was that turning point?
It's probably, let's see, 2016. I went to the doctor
Hmm.
and he said, you're pre-diabetic, developing fatty liver disease. And I was like, no,
Yeah.
not going down either one of those roads. And I dedicated myself to losing weight. Went from 240 pounds down to about 180 and felt really good. And in that period of time, oddly enough, I was doing Weight Watchers, right?
Hmm.
And as part of when before COVID, Weight Watchers was actually an in-person thing, right? Actually, I think they just had gotten the app. So it was, but anyway, I was still going to in-person meetings. And the lady that led the meetings was they technically titled them as a coach.
Mm.
And so as I'm working with her, trying to lose weight, I was like, this is interesting. This is, because I always thought coaching was like Tony up on stage, doing his
Yeah.
rah rah thing, right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was, and of course, coaching, sports goes without saying, right? We all understand and know what that is. But as I see this woman, and she was coaching me through the mindset of eating and what that was about, and what that, who are you being while you're eating? If you're shoveling the food into your face, which is one of my old habits, who are you being? You're just being a garbage disposal at that point. The food's just going down your throat. But to be able to be coached through the things like that, it was like, wow, this is what coaching is. And so I started being curious and investigating, and then I stumbled across a high performance men's coach. And that's when I jumped into that. I made the investment, even though it was scary as hell to hand somebody my credit card and put that much on it. As I just coming out of the divorce at that point,
Mm.
I'm in my recovery and healing from the marriage season of my life. To put that kind of money out, I was like, okay, this is scary. This better work, and it did. The big time. I mean, it was definitely the best investment I ever made because I was at that point, I was at my lowest low. I was coming out of divorce, felt like a failure because I had made bad decisions. The divorce itself was horrendous. Coming through that was, just a battle. And I was in a job at that point. It just really it wasn't where I got a promotion actually, and it just wasn't what I thought.
Mm.
Being in management wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So I was just like, one bad decision after another, after another, after another. And I was like, God, please don't let this be a bad decision too. And it wasn't. And it helped my mindset. It helped me get into a habit of reading. It had learning and growing, which I hadn't done in previous probably 15, 20 years. And then that led to creating a men's group and coaching one-on-one on myself. And it just this snowball effect of that one decision that has kept going in my life. And it's been absolutely the best decision I ever made.
Amazing. Amazing. And you're still on the learning journey, right? Like
Yeah.
we've
Oh,
all,
absolutely.
yeah, it's incredible. So what what's one thing right now that you're learning, maybe something you're digging into or diving into, an area of growth that you're excited about?
Yeah. Actually, I got turned on to, have you heard of Myron Golden?
No.
Oh, Myron Golden. He's a speaker, coach, entrepreneur type. I got turned on to him. I've been binge watching his YouTubes. Got his book. He's got a book that's really been challenging my mindset around where I want to take my business, what I want to do next, how I want to get there, and it's been absolutely amazing. It's actually, I'll be honest, it's kind of knocked me on my butt for a little bit
Yeah.
because it was really, I use the word convicting.
Hmm.
Like I've been doing a lot of things, but I haven't been doing well, at least not the way he has done them, and he's like uber successful. It's funny, I've had coaches in my life, but I've never really had mentors. I've never really embraced mentorship too much. And I consider it because he puts out so much content. Um, I kind of consider him as one of my mentors now. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm gonna digest this and absorb this and maybe I'll put my spin on it. But again, he's been there, he's done that, and he's doing the things that I would like to be doing. So I'm gonna jump on a train.
Yeah. Amazing. So if someone's listening to this and they want to learn more about what you do, where can
Yep.
they connect with Men Becoming Better Men and connect with you?
Yeah. Two main places. Website is menbecomingbettermen.com. That's the easy one. The second would be probably Instagram, the relationship engineer. My link on that page will lead you to a free ebook that I have called The Six Blatant Lies That Most Men Believe,
Hmm.
and a course that I created that's called Get Your Life Together in 6 Months.
Okay. Great time for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, as people look forward to a fresh year and things coming up.
Yeah.
Excellent. We'll make sure all your information, all Bob's information is in the show notes. We'll put those accounts and contact information below. Bob, I appreciate you. Thank you for doing this. And
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing about how Men Becoming Better Men grows and more stories about the lives that you're changing.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.